There is a lot of people here. All right. Welcome to the REIA meeting. We're a 501c6 nonprofit. If you join, your dues are tax deductible as a business expense for business networking. We're a chapter of National REIA. So you join us, you get a whole crap load of extra rebates and discounts from big companies across the US. This meeting will count towards your PHP designation if you choose to get it. Long story short, it just is education to help people run businesses involved in real estate. Disclaimer, talk to your lawyer, your doctor, your nurse, your wife, your whatever. We don't give out advice, and any decision that you make is on you. Under One Roof and the Rochester Housing Coalition are both sponsored by and supported by members of REIA. They are very active in the community, and you can thank them for stopping good cause eviction coming to Rochester. Are you serious right now? That's not me. All right, good. It's not my phone. So this is it. Leon's not here. He called off at the last minute. So if we have a vendor from JM right here, come up front, please, sir. You need to speak. I'm going to give you a mic for a hot second. And then we're going to have Joe do the announcements, and we're going to get right to Scott because everybody wants to see the game tonight. Hold that. I'm going to pin you right here.
Well, you better do it because I don't know.
You just speak into this thing.
Okay.
So you'll be fine. You don't have to turn your head or anything weird.
Okay.
The camera's right here. You're in front of it. You're good.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate your time and appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Stephen Parker. I'm with JM Real Estate Capital. We have a lot of money to lend for all of your real estate transactions.
You gotta yell. It's not enough. This is just presumed.
Oh, okay. Okay. We have a lot of money at JM Real Estate Capital, and we lend for all manner of real estate transactions. We have three major areas of focus: rehabs, fix and flips. We also do a lot of short and long-term rentals, and we're very active in the new construction market. Although we can do commercial loans, we can get 30-year mortgages on commercial loans. So no matter what you have, bring it to us because we probably have an underwriter we can bring it to and get the deal done. The LTVs we have are high, the rates are low, we're very competitive. All the numbers are based on the individual deals though, so I'm not going to throw out any numbers at you, but I will tell you this. We have clients, and I think of our borrowers as clients because most of them are repeat borrowers, and we're getting the same questions all the time, and they mostly focus around interest rates. Obviously, we don't know where interest rates are going to go, but we had a meeting recently and we spoke, and I'm not the oldest guy in here, maybe, but I'm pretty close. So I wanted to give everybody the benefit of my experience very briefly and give you a little synopsis of the meeting. So in 1981, I got out of college and went to work on Wall Street. Mortgage rates were 20% at that time. That was a generational high. Okay. So I went to work. I was a newlywed at the time. Our first child was on the way, and no, she was not born in less than 9 months, if you were wondering. So I was going to be a father. Things were hard. I joined this municipal bond syndicate. We were the company that took down municipal bonds and sold them to investors. So flash forward about 2 years, we had a 12% triple tax-free investment grade bond that we took down. We were trying to sell to investors and they wouldn't buy it. Can you imagine getting a 12% yield, triple tax-free, investment grade right now? I mean, you jump on it in 2 seconds. The reason they wouldn't buy it is that 2 years earlier, those same bonds were yielding 15%. So they were figuring that the investors were figuring that the rates were going to go back up. So they had what we call recency bias. Now we're seeing the other side of that. So I talk to people all the time and they're all talking about rates going back to where they were a few years ago. I think that ship has sailed. I think the cycle has totally changed. If you think about this generationally, I was a young man when I went to Wall Street, about to become a father. I'm now an old man and a grandfather. It took 40 years for rates to go from 20% to 2.5%. And now the whole worm is turned. I'm seeing things now, and I was back in the days when the commodities were all going sky high. I'm seeing things now that have not been seen before with what's going on with prices, energy prices, food prices, the shortages. this is epical stuff right now. It's pretty scary. And on top of that, you have the situation in Europe where energy prices have doubled, and you're going to get a tremendous demand of capital there because the European governments are trying to bail out the energy companies and make sure that their citizens don't freeze to death this winter. The bottom line is this. I think the rates are probably going to go a lot higher over time. I don't know for sure. Neither does Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve. He just made a speech 2 weeks ago, and he made rates go to the highest level they've been in 2 years. If they do what they want to do and they get the economy to slow down, it's probably going to bring rates down short term. On top of that, you're getting finally some motivated sellers in the housing market. You're getting prices to come down a little bit. So those two things together may create a window of opportunity, but it's a window. One positive thing, I'm not trying to paint doom and gloom. We got a lot of money coming into this country from overseas. As bad as things may be here in the United States in some respects, they're way worse in Europe. And the Asians and the Europeans that have money, they're trying to get it over to the US, and they're putting a lot of it into real estate. And not only that, we have a major lack of housing stock in this country. That's not going away overnight. So those two things are underpinning the market. But what I would underline here, because I've seen it, I'm not saying rates are going back to 19 to 20%, but I know they could because I was there. If you can lock in a rate now, and the rates are still historically very reasonable on a long-term mortgage, on a 30-year mortgage, I would do it because I think that mortgage is going to be an asset in the years to come. Thanks for your time.
Not getting fresh. We're good. All right. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have, I don't think we have any other vendors here, so we're just going to get right to it. Oh, Gail Smith is joining us on Zoom, so we're going to let her in. Yay, Gail. All right. Gail, you're very popular. Everybody's saying hi. All right. With that said, I think Joe's got some announcements for us, and we'll get right to Scott and let him start. I stole Joe's mic. This is for you for now. And then we're going to turn it off, and Scott's got his own.
Let me rephrase that. Is this speaker
No,
for the
there's
speakers
no
here?
speakers in here. Just yell.
All right.
You got to be loud. You got to project.
Well,
Have
I'm
some stage presence and project, Joe.
yes.
This is what we do.
So what you do?
Okay, fine.
Excuse me. All right. Well, thank you. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? All right. Very good. Thank you. I will keep this very short. Scott, Andy told me I had 5 minutes, or they're going to throw me off. And both Scott and Andy are bigger than I am, and I heard easily. So I make this as quick as possible. A couple of announcements. The first one is unfortunately, it's a very unfortunate announcement to be doing for people that do not know. I think most people know. But in case you don't know, Susan Holman passed away a few weeks ago. And for new people or that, FREIA would not exist without Susan. Literally, I mean, she held it together for years. And when she retired about a year ago, she was doing so much that we had to break it into 3 different jobs. So it's very sad. And so that's, but we did want to do that, and there will be something on the, on our website for that. For meetings coming up, the next Wednesday, next Wednesday on the 14th is the Wire Group, which is Women in Real Estate. That's at 6 o'clock here. Aries meeting, which Scott is the co-host on. The Aries evening meeting is next Thursday at 7 o'clock, and that's on Zoom. The link is on our website. The Housing Provider Support Group is the following Thursday, and that's here at 7 o'clock. The other meetings coming up, one of which is the general meeting for October is the 13th. That's a Thursday. It's always the second Thursday of a month. That is here. And that is, you may have heard, along with interest rates, the Congress changed tax laws. The presentation is from our CPA, Chris Sardone, who is always enjoyable, very knowledgeable. Yeah, he's enjoyable, and he will give you his blunt, unvarnished opinion of, and but it is enjoyable to listen to him, but he's very good. So that is next month here. One of the things that we are working on, and Kayla is doing an awful lot on it, Kayla and Jacob, is a bus tour. That's going to be in October. They're lining up, or she's lining up 4 properties. And the point of the property is that they each have different exit strategies. They're not all, they're not all flips or all how to rehab a house to rent out. It's 4 different exits. So, pick your exit and you're going to see a house or a rehab that you like. After this meeting, or after Scott finishes, after the meeting, the Bills game is on television. The restaurant's open. You're certainly free to go buy food, buy drinks, buy whatever you want. And that's that. So we're not doing it like we did last month of have some food afterwards. We had all the food before the meeting. So afterwards, Bills are on, have a blast, and you're on your own. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, Jake's gonna do his 2-minute shtick. 30 seconds shtick.
Hello, my name is Jake. I do all the political advocacy for us in Rochester. If I do it, I mean, I run the meetings.
He's also our secretary.
I'm also the free secretary. Yep, that's a lot of fun. And I'm on the legislative committee for the New York State advocacy team. So what we're doing now is we're planning for 2023 ledge session, which means a lot of meetings, a lot of documents. If you're passionate about legislative issues, good cause eviction, rent control, short-term rental restrictions, and you want to do something about it, bump into me, bump into Andy or Joe and ask to get in contact with me. We're always looking for volunteers for our committees to do things like organize people to go to council meetings, go to town hall meetings, to speak to lawmakers or senators, assembly members in the state level, to track bills on a spreadsheet. Whatever your skill set is, it's probably useful for advocacy. It's like a small business. So if you're interested or motivated through legislative issues in your state, bump into me or Andy and we'll get you set up with what we need assistance with. So any questions on legal, political issues with housing? Good cause eviction failed. We're challenging it. It's great. Okay. We're trying our best. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, with no further ado, we're gonna get Scott up here. Scott, why don't you come up and join us? Tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll kick this sucker off. I'm not doing a fancy intro, so I'm turning this mic off. Turn your mic on. So little black button, push it. Push the black button until the blue light turns on. That's not my fault. I can't help you. All right, so Scott's mic is on and it is connected.
Okay, all right. Most of you know me know I don't really need a microphone, so I'm just going to speak out loud. I know there's a big game coming on, okay? I know that. I talked to Josh Allen earlier. I said, hey, Josh, got a big presentation, Rochester. Can you delay the game a little bit? He's like, yeah, how about 8:20, Scott? Does that work? I'm like, yeah, Josh, perfect. Well, you start at 8:20. I'll finish up by 8 o'clock. But thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate you all coming. I'm going to talk about self-storage. I'm also going to talk about how to get started in self-storage, how to get started in real estate investing, because that's really the important part. And I'm going to call out some people who are here, just to talk a little bit about how they got started in real estate or what they're doing in real estate. We all know Steve Peterson, right? Steve Peterson. Okay, you got to read a disclaimer. Scott Speer does not render tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other professional advice. If tax, legal, or accounting or other similar profession assistance is required, the services of a competent professional should be sought. I do not endorse any particular investments. Rather, I just give information only. Any and all of this commentary, statements of opinion and recommendations contain only general advice and have not been taken into account for your personal circumstances. What that means is my circumstances are different than yours. Self-storage may or may not be right for you. I don't know. It depends. Okay. But that's it. I'm just going to talk about self-storage and my journey. Quick introduction. Born and raised in Rochester, New York. Married my lovely wife, Christine, baby doll. If you know me on Facebook, you know that, in 1984, before a lot of you were born. Went in the Air Force for 6 years. So yeah. One, no, the other, yes. Okay. I came back to Rochester to raise a family. Okay. Built a real estate portfolio of rentals, flips, and rent-owns and various other jobs. We're working in W-2, okay? If you work in W-2, you still can build real estate. It just takes a lot of time. 9 to 5, you make a living. After 9, you make a life, okay? That's where you have to hustle when you're working a 9 to 5, we're gonna say. A lot of that has to do with the REIA group. I got started with the REIA group and we'll continue on doing that. And sorry, distracted me for a minute. I also have ADD. I'll tell you that right now, okay? Shiny objects are my enemy. Okay, but started selling my portfolio in 2018 to start private lending and looking into self-storage. Great time to do that. House prices were going great just before COVID hit and all that. We sold our house. We auctioned off our personal house and 90% of our contents and moved into a motorhome. We travel around the country, my wife and I, since November of 2020 and started traveling all because of real estate, because of the business we built in real estate allowed us to travel. So if that is one of your goals or something you want to do, real estate will allow you to do that. Okay, you're in the right room. A lot of people in this room are willing to help you. Where I'm currently at, let's see. We closed on our first facility at the end of 2019 and currently have ownership of 10 plus facilities in more than 750 units and more than 700 or 150,000 square feet in 10 states. I have sold 4 self-storage facilities in different partnerships. Let's see. I've done a few land deals. We purchased a property, we got them approved and sold them at a decent profit. That's something else that I do. I've wholesaled 6 facilities at least. There may be more in there. I didn't do a total count, but I do know I've split over $250,000 in wholesale fees. I used my equity trust account, my Roth IRA, and $120,000 of that came back to me tax-free because I did use my Roth IRA on the wholesale deals. I have many partners and investors, and I'm looking for more. If you want to partner up, if you're an investor, if you know where there might be a self-storage facility available, give me a call. We'll take a look at it together. I'll bring you as an equity partner. I'll pay you cash. We'll work it out. And same thing, we pay huge finder's fees. Last finder fee we paid was $50,000 on a facility, okay? And the beneficiary that happens to be in this room, I'm not going to name his name. And we're willing to work with private equity partners, deals, and anything you find. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to thank a few people. I may have missed that slide or whatever, but I want to thank a few people who are here in this room. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I know there's 100 other places you could be. I'm glad you're here. I hope you learned something. And then some groups that I want to acknowledge. We did like some cross networking with some other groups in Rochester, some other very good real estate groups in Rochester. I had to write them down. One is the Upstate Commercial Apartment Investors Group. That's run by Gary Van Bortel. Over there, Gary Van Bortel. And John Belinsky, that's his partner. If you want to look into getting into syndication or commercial properties, talk to him afterwards. Then the Upstate New York Real Estate Investors. Marty Grazzani runs that group. There's probably somebody else who helps him with that. I'm not sure who it is, but I talked to Marty. He's like, yeah, let's cross network. And also the Real Estate Coffee Club. That was started up by Matt Druin. I seen Matt here somewhere. There's Matt. And Brett Awanowitz, who happens to be in from Guatemala. Okay. And yeah. And but yeah, they set up the Real Estate Coffee Club. So there are other groups, and it's all about cross networking. Everybody getting together to do business together. Another thing too, I want to let everybody know, on September 20th, I am going to be doing another self-storage presentation to a self-storage group. It's a group that's run by Ben Burkett and Philip Thomas. I'll tell you a little bit more about Philip in a minute. But that's on September 20th at Crane Realty in Canandaigua. If you want to come check that out, it is free. Come check it out. It's going to be more self-storage oriented, and it is investors in self-storage. So it's a great group. I'd love to have you there. It starts at 6:30. Same thing. They're going to have pizza. So come on to that. And let's see. Other than that, oh, one other thing too. I was asked to make an announcement with Dolores up front. She's a gatekeeper. Just check in with her. Let her know that you're here. If you haven't done that already, she's keeping a running total of who's here. She has a list of everybody. If you haven't checked in, just check in with her on the way out, please, just so she can keep count. Okay. So what's that? Oh, I'm going to separate you guys. Three stooges up front. How'd you guys get to sit together? Okay. Yeah. Joe, you can move over a seat here. Okay. Yeah. Joe's a quiet one. Yeah, that's a change. All right. Okay. Should you invest in self-storage? I don't really know. And it depends. I have a good friend, Mike Wagner. A lot of you in the room know him. When you ask him a question, he always says, well, it depends. I'm like, here we go again. What does it depend on? It depends on your situation. So Mike's great about that. Mike and I have been friends for a lot of years. He's the one who really got me started in self-storage, and I'm thankful for that. Storage is a business. It's not mailbox money. A lot of people think, oh, you buy a storage unit and you just collect your money and that's it. It is a business. It has to be run like a business. The big thing is, let's see, I'll make sure I did this right. Okay, good. Okay. You got to have a vision. You got to have some goals. What do you want to accomplish? What's your why? Okay. Why are you investing in real estate? Why are you working hard at night after working all day to get here? Why are you doing that? I have my whys. Okay. And I'll show you those in a minute. Okay. But you have to know, why are you banging out the phones and calling and getting negative responses and then hitting on one? What's your why? Is it your family? Is it yourself? Do you want to travel? What's your why? And then you have to have a well-defined vision. It gives you a big why. It keeps you motivated, and when persistence is needed. Okay, here's one for you. Your why needs to be bigger than your butt. Okay, for me, that's a pretty big why. Okay, and that's the thing. People say, they tell me all the time, okay, you just have to get your butt out of the way. That's it. People say, I would invest in real estate, but I'm too young. Okay, I want to bring somebody up to the front of the room. His name is Liam. Come on up, Liam. He happens to be sitting there reading his book. He's very quiet. Okay, this is Liam McQuaid. It's Andy McQuaid's son. He's, how old are you? 9 years old. He is a real estate investor. He's invested in a self-storage facility with me. Okay. He's well on his way. He's been a great partner to work with so far, and we're going to keep it rolling, right? All right, cool. You want to say anything? Where's your unit at? Do you remember? Mississippi. He has a facility in Mississippi. We just closed on it Tuesday. And that happens to be where Philip Thomas is. He's one of my partners. He lives over in Bristol. He called me up. He's like, hey, I got this deal in Mississippi. Do you want to put it together? Yeah, let's look at the numbers. Just quick numbers on that one. We had to raise $550,000 for that one. Liam is part of that. Doug Holman actually is part of that too. I have some family members who have invested in it too. And we had raised $550,000. We believe in about 2 years that facility be worth about $900,000. Philip's down there taking care of things. He's a great operator. I appreciate everything he did. We've become quick friends, and he's just a really, really good guy. If you come on September 20th, he should be there, and he's going to tell a little bit about his story. Okay, great. Thanks, Liam. Okay, another thing. I would invest in real estate, but I'm too old. I have an investor who's 85 years old. He invests money with me too. Because of that, he's actually able to make payments on a 2022 Hemi Challenger. He is 85 years old, okay? He's very excited, okay? Part of his payment is for that. So I'm very excited for him. And it's a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about. It's about helping other people to make money too, help their dreams and visions come true. And that's what I really like. Okay, I'd invest in real estate, but I have ADD. Okay, I have ADD. I have dyslexia. Okay, I didn't discover until I was in college that I had dyslexia. So imagine going through school and not knowing that and finding out in college I had dyslexia. What that means, and whoever named dyslexia, I don't get it. A word, I can't spell that word dyslexia, okay? But dyslexia is just sometimes my numbers get reversed and letters get reversed, but I was able to overcome that. I just take my time when I'm going through numbers and stuff like that. So when it comes to numbers, I got it down solid now. And let's see, I'm blind in one eye, okay? No big deal. It doesn't affect me. I just keep investing in real estate. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I would invest in real estate, but I have no experience. Oh, really? Okay, Gabe, you want to tell him a story? That's my partner, Gabe. He's a grinder when it comes to the phone. I mean, I'm so proud of him and what he's accomplished. Gabe, go ahead, tell your story just a little bit.
22 years in the restaurant business industry, all over a restaurant and I had no experience in real estate. I always knew I wanted to do real estate, just didn't know which one. And I fell upon self-storage. Thanks to my sister, by the way, to give her credit. And I had no experience, so I did what I had to do to get the information to learn. I went to college, if you will, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but I don't care. Maybe I didn't know everything at the beginning, but damn it, I did it. I don't care. Just jump both feet in the fire and just got through it. I fell till I fell every day. Every day I don't get a failure, but you know what? I get successes too, and that's what the best part about it is I'm learning every day still. But I have so much more experience. You don't experience speaking, but once you start doing it, man, woo, what a ride!
How many calls you make roughly?
All right, as of now, 2,659 calls.
And out of that,
Then we closed on 2 properties, closing on one soon. So that's the 2 that I'm talking about right now.
Mhm.
Tony and West are the other 2. So if we had Tony and West, the total fees we brought in would have been $207,000.
In wholesale.
$190,000 in fees. If the 4 leads, I have 4 more leads that's going on right now. If these 4 leads pan out conservatively, we're gonna bring another $180,000 in fees.
So 270, 180, what, about $450? Is it $450,000? Is that right? Is my math right on that? Okay, so from somebody who has no experience, a year ago, talking to Gabe was very interesting because he had no experience, nothing like that. I'm like, just grind the phones, call people, let's find the deals, let's do this again. And Gabe has done an excellent job at that. So that's somebody who has no experience, okay? Is it hard dialing the phone and picking up that phone every day? Yeah, that phone probably weighs 2 tons some days. So it does. I know how hard it is. I'd invest in real estate, but I live too far away from Rochester. Okay, Maurice, where are you? There he is. This gentleman worked all day today, drove 2.5 hours to be here tonight. There's people who wouldn't drive 30 minutes to be here. He drove 2.5 hours here tonight to be here, and he's going to drive back home. 5 hours of driving to come to what, a 2-hour meeting? Okay, so I don't want to hear that I live too far away. One of the most important ones to me, and I wish she was here. I would invest in real estate, but I have some health issues. Okay, let me explain that again. I would invest in real estate, but I have some health issues. Okay, who here knows Gail Smith?
She's on Zoom.
She's on Zoom. I can't see her, but okay. I believe she's on Zoom. Okay. I talked to Gail. I said, hey, is it okay if I drop your name tonight and tell a little bit about your story? She said, yeah. She actually sent me a text. I want to read this to everybody. Okay. Because I want you to understand what she's been going through and what she's been able to do. Okay. Okay. Scott, it's no secret that I have breast cancer. I'm proud of what I accomplished in spite of my challenges. I was diagnosed in August of 2020, had surgery, followed by a year's worth of chemo. Then we discovered it never really left, and I'm still getting infusions every 3 weeks, and recently completed 32 consecutive weekdays of radiation. Fun, she put on there. all that time, she flipped 4 houses in that time. All were successful and profitable, but not easy by any means. And she said, good luck, I may pop in. So that's Gail Smith. All the flips were hers too. She wasn't partnering with anybody. She did those flips her own while getting chemo and radiation. So yeah. So that's a big but she overcame it because her why was so much bigger. Okay. That's it. You got to have a why, because trust me, there's gonna be nights you're gonna be like, this sucks. I hate this, you know, but your why just has to be bigger than that. Okay. I'm going to show you my why. So does everybody get your butt out of the way now? We're all good on that? Okay, good. That was like 15 minutes, so I don't have a lot of time left. Anyways, Josh will understand. We're okay. We're cool. Okay, here's a few of my whys. Okay, my whys. Okay, this is our motorhome. This is our home on wheels. It's a 42-foot Holiday Rambler Imperial. That's my baby doll there. We travel across the country, been out to California twice already and back, and been up and around Lake Tahoe. We've been a lot of places with that thing. Have a lot of fun. My other big why, these are our 2 kids, Trevor and Ashley. He lives in San Francisco. He's in the Marines. So we go out and see him. Our daughter lives in Denver. It's funny. We say that, you know, our kids moved away to get away from us. Now we hop in an RV and we chase after them. So that's what we say. Another one of my whys, this is my dad. My mom passed away in 2014. Very unfortunate circumstance. She passed away in 2014. And one thing I will say in real estate, I'm gonna thank Bob Napier. He played a big part in this. When my mom passed away, I kind of checked out for a month. Like, I just didn't want to do real estate. There was not a lot of things I want to do, but I had a lot of things going on. And I want to personally thank Bob Napier because he stepped in and kind of said, hey, what do you need? I'm going to take this over. Other people did too, but Bob played a big part in that. So thank you very much, Bob. All right. And my 2 other big whys. This is my wife's mother and father. Last summer or last March, her father had been thinking about moving into assisted living. He called us in February, said, I'm ready to move into assisted living. Like, okay, let us get there and be with you to help you with that. We're in Florida at the time, so we had to hightail it out. One of my wish list things is to go to Daytona during bike week. Well, I did go through Daytona during bike week, but we were on our way to Virginia, so we couldn't stop. I see all these bikes going south. I'm like, man, I really want to stop, but we had to get up to Virginia. So we got to be with him because we're in the motorhome because of real estate. We're able to be there with her parents. Unfortunately, her dad passed away in November. Okay, but we were able to be there with them the whole time. I didn't have a home back here to take care of. We were able to stay in the RV. So we're able to be there. So think about that, spending your final time with your parents. That could be a really big why. Her mother, unfortunately, she was supposed to have hip replacement surgery, went to the hospital, found out she had stage 4 bone cancer. They gave her about 6 months to live. During this time, this happened October. Her father passed away in November. Her mom passed away in July. We took her to the hospital and she had stage 4 bone cancer. I gave her 6 months to live. She actually lived 2 weeks, but we're able to be there with her parents. So that's a huge why. Okay. If that doesn't give you incentive enough to work hard late nights and stuff like that, I don't know what will. Okay. So you have all these buts. I'd invest in real estate, but okay, get the butt out of the way. I've presented that before, and I've had people tell me, man, that was the biggest thing. And okay, so now we'll go on to build and self-storage. That's why everybody's here. But the biggest thing I want to emphasize is just get through everything. If you need to call somebody, there's tons of people in this room. With self-storage, you apply what you already know. Real estate fundamentals are the same. Same thing. You buy low, you rent for more than your costs, and then you sell high or keep it for cash flow. It's just like residential rentals. It's just like commercial property. It's the things are exactly the same. Fundamentals are the same. Maintenance and repairs. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. That's one thing I learned. I did have some rentals I maybe didn't take as good a care of as I should have. When I started investing money back into them, they didn't break. I didn't have problems and things like that. It's the same in self-storage. The big thing with investing in self-storage is the income expense ratio. Anybody who has rentals and apartments and mobile home parks, you know your expense ratio is about 50%. Okay, every dollar you bring in, 50 cents goes towards everything else. And self-storage is totally different. Every dollar you bring in, about 30 to 35% are the expenses. In other words, you're keeping 65 to 70% of every dollar that you bring in. Okay, now that's before debt. If you have debt, that's a whole different thing. But the expense ratio is much different in self-storage. And that's one thing I really liked. Okay, state of the industry, default rate is less than 8%, less than single family and primary residence. In other words, people that sell storage facilities do not get foreclosed on. 8% do. That's a pretty low number. Occupancy rates are up nationally. COVID helped self-storage tremendously. You know, people got the government money and they went out, in my opinion, they went out and bought stuff they probably didn't need. They didn't have room for in their house, so now they're renting self-storage from us. I love the business. It's just great. I know, Jeremy, you can vouch for it. Jeremy's gonna catch up to me really soon, all the self-storage facilities he has. It's Jeremy Fisher in the back, good friend of mine. He's mentored me on a few things, and I appreciate that. And then values are up nationally too. Like I said, self-storage facility, we're picking one up. We picked up in Mississippi, closed on it. We're all in $550,000. Like I said, in a couple of years, we think it's going to be worth $900,000 just based on getting in there, automating it, getting the rents up to where they should be, and just making it happen. And trust me, in self-storage, if you find a deal, you're going to find the money. Okay. If you find a deal, call me. Okay. Don't call anybody else in the room. Don't call Jeremy. Okay. Don't call Joe Lavabera because you'll try to wholesale it on you. Okay. Give me a call. We'll work out a deal. Trust me. And that's what I love about self-storage. Proven resistance to economic downturn. During COVID, I know a lot of you suffered through that. I did too. I had a couple rentals, had a couple tenants that are paying like clockwork. COVID hit. They're like, hey, I understand I don't have to pay rent. I'm like, you don't, but you know, you really should. What are you gonna do? Evict me? No. Okay. Well, but in self-storage, there was none of that. It's like, you're out, we're gonna overlock you, pay your bill. That's it. Okay. There's still many deals out there. Now, Gabe will attest, there's not as many deals as they used to. Okay. I shouldn't be promoting self-storage. I told everybody I was gonna get up here and say self-storage sucks. The returns are terrible. You don't want to be in it. It's too much work. I'd be lying if I said that. Okay. There's still deals out there to be had. Joe calls me every once in a while. He's like, hey, is this a deal? I'm like, well, it's a 5 cap. No, it's not a deal to me, but might be to you. We'll get through this, Joe, together. Okay. Investing strategy. You could buy existing, turnkey, or value add. I'll cover that quick. Conversions, ground up development, and a hybrid. I'm going to bang through this quick. I'm sorry, because I got to let Josh get time on the field. Okay. Okay. Turnkey versus value add. A turnkey property is something that's working. It's the facilities that Jeremy Fisher owns now that are running well. Okay, I'm sure Jeremy would be willing to sell you his self-storage facility. Keegan might, see, she just said no. But Jeremy's like, hey, you know, for $10 million, we might entertain an offer here. He runs his businesses right. And that's what I try to do too with my partners. We run them right. We automate them. I'll cover all that. You get cash flow from day one on turnkey ones. These are ones that are pretty. These are the pretty self-storage facilities that everybody wants to own, but there's not a lot of margin on. Less hands-on. Third-party management, in other words, somebody's usually running those. Jeremy and Keegan, they run their own, and I admire them for that. More easily financed with the banks. Banks love them. Require a bigger down payment. May or may not be able to create an exciting amount of equity. In other words, you buy them for $1 million, they might be worth $1.1 million. Now, don't get me wrong. $100,000 is a lot of money, but I'd rather buy the ones like we bought for $550 and it's worth $900 in a couple of years. Value add, we pick up those. They're harder to find. Gabe can attest to. Joe's been trying to find deals too. Everybody in the room who's in self-storage, you know, they're a little bit harder to find, but the returns are a lot bigger. They do negative cash flow from the beginning, so you have to be ready for that. You have to have investors who can understand that and stomach that. But you have to show the investors, say, look, this thing is going to turn a profit. And here's when we think it's going to turn a profit. Nothing's guaranteed. They're going to take some more work. Recommend it if you're do-it-yourselfer. A lot of time, not a lot of times, but I'm going to say about 30% of the time. We're asking more often, but Owners will finance them. What's that? 100% of the time, owners are financing. You heard it from Gabe. They don't afford their 100% owner finance. Because they bought a facility for, let's say, $100,000 10 years ago, and they're going to sell it for $1.5 million. They have all that capital gains that they have to figure out. Do they want to pay Uncle Sam or do they want to stretch that out? We talked to them about owner financing. If you want to learn how to talk to someone about owner financing, talk to Joe Lababera. Gabe is getting great at it too. Okay. There's a lot of tax advantages to owner financing. Let's say private financing. A lot of times banks aren't going to finance these, so we have to get private financing. I'm all about private financiers. Okay. I pay I'm not going to say what interest. I pay like 8-10% interest. Depends on the deal and all that. So if you want to earn 8-10% on your money, let me know. But yeah, we have. Okay, Bert entered the waiting room. I'm going to admit him in. Okay, I know. Yeah. Okay. Smaller down payment usually, and a big equity explosion. You know, the facility I talked about in Mississippi. You know how much equity we're going to have in that baby. Okay. Now people who've invested in that go, man, I'm only, you know, he's only paying me 10%, but that's okay. Okay, conversion. You find an empty space. You find let's see, an old Kodak building. There's a Kodak building on a corner of Mount Reed and Buffalo Road. It's now self-storage. I think it's climate controlled. They took that and converted it. Planning boards are more receptive to it because it's an empty eyesore. They want to see something happening there. Benefits over development, equity swings, which is a much shorter runway. I'll explain that later. You get creative on those too. You know, lease option to buy. When you convert a space, if it's 100,000 square feet, plan on losing about 20% because of hallways and things like that. So if you think you're buying a 100,000 square foot facility, self-storage wise, it's going to be about 80,000 square feet. Partition costs, I had to actually change this. It used to be about $10 per square foot. Now it's about $15 a square foot. It's probably closer to 20, as Jeremy can attest to, and Andy, I know you can too. You know what material prices have done. Okay. Development. This is buying a piece of land and developing it. I don't really have an interest in doing that. I've sold some development properties, but you can make huge money on that. But the problem is it requires deep pockets because for a long time, you're not making money while you're building a building and stuff like that. But it's a little bit longer ramp up to break even, but harder to phase in the product. The good thing about development is you do the work. Once you complete it, it's probably worth twice what you have into it. That's what I've seen time and time again, but you have to be willing to stomach the no income coming in for a little while. Yeah. Yeah. You want to tell us about that at all, Keegan?
Well, it took us 2 years in a small town just south of Monroe County.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to Vegas for the self-storage conference in April, Scott met us there.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the road. We actually met the owner of that facility you just referenced on Mount Reed and Lyle.
Oh, yeah.
Real nice guy, tons of hard work, led him up to where he is now, local guy, really kind, gave us some great advice, but we learned there that it's at least a 2-year process. And we learned ourselves it was at least a 2-year process at 7:30 on a Wednesday night.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had to pay engineering, like, it was a lot of money and time to go into it, but just like you said, it's worth double what we paid for it just with that.
Good.
But yeah, we learned plan on a 2-year for new construction to get through the town unless you buy.
Right.
Which some people in this room have, local places.
Yeah. We went through that too. A piece of land that we purchased. It took us 2 years to get approved because we go to the monthly zoning board meeting. They'd be like, oh, you're missing this. You have to wait a whole nother month before they're going to do this again for you. It is a process in 2 years. Yeah, that's not unusual. What I love is the hybrid model, value add and development. Combines the benefits of purchasing and existing. Now I've been up here for 30 minutes. I'm going to whip through this now. Okay. Value add benefits of development. In other words, you buy these facilities that need to be improved, but there's also land to develop on. The nice thing about those is while you're cash flowing that, you can use that cash flow to develop your other property to add to the property. Okay, how to find deals. The Storage Rebellion, that's something Mike Wagner, local guys in Fishers, New York, that's how you find deals. The Storage Rebellion is a great website. In my opinion, it's probably the best storage website that there is. You can join it and try it. He has different levels that you can join into on that thing. It's a ton of information there. Networking, just like we did here, cross networking, just network with people, talk to people. Facebook, lots of deals on Facebook. LoopNet and Crexy, those are like commercial sites. You can find deals there, but they're fewer and far between. Those are usually the ones that are like a REIT or buying or something like that who can stand a low cap rate. Listselfstorage.com, a bunch of brokers, Sperry Van Ness, SVN. We're actually working with them now. We have a few facilities up for sale. Have a really good girl that we're working with there. I would not buy these facilities for what we're selling them for, but there are people who want to buy them. Okay, and I'm okay with that. Trust me. So Keegan, you might change your mind. Okay. What? No, Keegan in the back room. She shook her head. No, we're not selling those things. Back of the napkin. I'm gonna really have to whip through this. I'm sorry. 15 minutes to get a feel for the deal. Quick financials. You look at the net operating income and the gross rent multiplier, price per square foot, competition, population. There's a website there to find what the population is. And for competition, you can use Google Earth or Bing. Back of the napkin. Gross income minus expenses. That's your net operating income. When I look at a deal quick, Joe and I have talked about this a few times. Gabe and I always do this. What's the net operating income that they have now? Net operating income times 10, that makes it a 10 cap. That's a rough value of the property. These numbers are a little low, but value as is right now, collected rents are $30,000. A lot of people haven't raised rents in like 12 years, 10 years. They have friends and family staying there and all that. Their expenses run about 12 grand. So their net operating income is $18,000 a year. That makes the value of the 10 cap 180,000. These slides will be available. I'll give them to whoever so that you guys can watch them. The potential value of one of the properties that we purchased, collected rents, we think we'll get the rents up to about 60,000. Our expenses are going to be about 20. Net operating income is 40,000. So the value on that thing is going to be about 400,000. So, you know, that's a decent return there. I like that number. And that's not unusual. Gross rent multiplier. Purchase price divided by the annual rents under 4 or 5. Gross rent multiplier is a good rough metric. That's what we like. I just put the formula up there. So this is when you're analyzing. Price per square foot. That's probably one of the biggest things I look at. How many square foot is it? And what are you paying for it? You just divide and you go. Right now, it used to be under $35 was a good deal. Now it's $40 or under is a good deal because we're usually taking these and selling them for $60 to $80 a square foot. So that's what we look at. I try to make it simple. Competition, supply, demand, 1 to 5 mile radius. If it's in Manhattan, you want to look at the competition or how many people live within 1 mile. 3 miles in the city and suburbs and 5 miles in the rural metro or rural areas. People drive to store their stuff 5 miles. And right there is a compilation of how to do that. Okay. When it passes a preliminary test, like what I just showed you, then you do a site visit. You go down there, check things out. Inspect the property, talk with the people in the neighborhood, see what they think. Has there been crime there? This, that, the other. There's a lot of things to check when you go down there. And I have checklists for anybody I operate with to go through. You do a full market analysis, full financial analysis, and full competition analysis. That's when you get the due diligence documents or tax returns. What you're going to find, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, what you're going to find in self-storage, a lot of people will tell you, and Gabe, how many times do we hear this? I don't claim everything I make. Okay. Okay. I don't care. Okay. I'm not from the IRS. About how much is that? And I will believe you. Okay. It just happens sometimes. So I know not everybody claims what they make, but when you go to a bank, they want to see how much the facility's making. So if they don't claim it, I can't use that. Okay. Valuation, net operating income will get you to the ballpark. Cap rate on there. Consider the value of vacant land. If it has vacant land to develop on it, consider the value of that. That's a tough number to get. I always struggle with that. value add potential. In other words, can you add, without the extra land, can you add storage facilities to their existing? There's lots of ways to do that. Deferred maintenance, you want to deduct that from what your offer is. If there needs $200,000 of work, it may be worth $1 million, but you got a 200,000 into it. You need to make sure you're covering yourself on that. Making an offer, letter of intent versus a purchase offer. Which way is better? It depends on the situation. Your relationship with the seller, the amount of interest from others. If there's a lot of interest from others and you like the property, put it on contract. Okay, it's not a lot of people looking at it. You can do a letter of intent. That's something you should talk to Steve Peterson about. He's an attorney, in my opinion, the best real estate attorney in Rochester, New York. Okay, due diligence, ask for 45 days. Here's what you ask for on the due diligence. I'll let you guys read through that. In other words, you want to get all these documents. You want 45 days to review them. Once you approve the due diligence documents, then you start working towards closing. When I ask for closing, I ask for 45 days after due diligence to close on a property, to get my financing set up and all that. Don't get me wrong, I'm already working on that stuff during due diligence, but if I can have 90 days to close that facility and I have it under contract, that works to my advantage. And these are the things that you do when you're doing the financing. Right there, in New York State, I highly recommend attorney Steve Peterson. There's his phone number. If you need a good real estate attorney in New York State, he's the best. He's covered my butt a lot of times. I appreciate everything he's done for me. Okay. Remote management, set up a call center to make this easy. We use ESS, Easy Storage Solution. You want a caretaker, a local person there taking care of it. I'm not in Mississippi. Philip Thomas doesn't live in Mississippi, but he has a boots on the ground there. It's going to take care of everything, a caretaker. Automated gate and fence. In other words, the gate is hooked up to a system. They have to have a code to get in. If they don't pay their bill, we deny their code. They try to get in, they can't get in. They call the call center. Call center says, yep, your card was expired. Give us a card, we'll let you in. There's been some funny stories about that, and I don't have time for all that stuff. Cameras with online access. You want to have security cameras in place for the security of the people, their goods, and your real estate there. And you want to have it so it's on the internet so you can check it once in a while with recordings and all that. I can't operate remotely without these. Okay, ESS, here's all things that ESS does. That's our call center. They take care of everything. In my opinion, they're fairly inexpensive. They're about $3 per unit, and they take care of everything. They're just awesome. If they can't handle a call, they'll call me. Caretaker, boots on the ground. This is a person who's local, who's taking care of the place. He drives by it once a week or something like that. He works about 10 to 20 hours a month, and we pay him accordingly. And that's what the caretaker does, and how to find them. Fence and automated gate. This is probably the most important, in my opinion, of any self-storage facility. A gate and automated fence and automated gate. I want it all enclosed for security reasons, but I also want the gate in place. That way I don't have to worry about overlocking somebody. I can just change their code. Cameras and recording system. For security reasons, like I said, you want cameras there. You want to protect your property and you want to protect your customers and your customers' belongings. Keys to success, buy it right. We talked about cap rate. I can go more into detail on that. I'll answer questions, but I want to let Josh get on the show too. Customer sales and service. If you take care of your customers, they're going to love you. You get good reviews on Google, more people will move in. When you're marketing, looking for properties, drive for dollars. Call people. That's one thing Gabe's a master at. People are like, oh, I mailed out 1,000 mailers. Well, that's good. Did you call anybody? No, I'm waiting for them to call me. Okay. How many people are going to call somebody that, they just get a letter from? Network, join groups, and keep at it. Just keep doing what you're doing. And define your vision first. Like I said, we talked about it. What are your goals? What's your why? Get your butt out of the way. Okay. Almost done here. Special thanks to my lovely wife. She's not here tonight. But we're just building real estate together. It's a lot of fun. Our kids, talk to you about them. REIA, all the board members and all the sponsors. REIA would not exist without the board members who run it, which happens to be Leon, Joe McGuire, Andy, Jacob, right? And his wife's name. I'm in trouble. Thank you. Okay. All the REIA members, I appreciate all you guys being here tonight. This has been great. Mike Wagner, he runs the Storage Rebellion team. He's in Fishers, New York. Super busy. He's helped a lot of people. He's changed a lot of lives, including my life, and I appreciate that. all that helped me with the presentation, all my partners, managers, lenders, friends, you all happen to be here. A bunch of you happen to be here tonight. I appreciate that. And thank you all for attending. That's it. There's my contact information. Woo! All right. So before 8 o'clock, not bad. All right, you turn the game off if you want. I'm done. Any questions, anybody? Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry? Yes and no. When I'm buying it, yes, it's realistic. When I'm selling it, no, it's not realistic. Okay. Yeah. So that, we're seeing a lot of them selling in the 5 to 6 cap range. They make money, but to me, I'd rather go out and find other deals. So yes. Other questions? Cool. But yeah, go ahead.
The mix.
It's not really a size. We've purchased them as small as 4,000 square feet, but that's because we own facilities nearby. We like to be 10,000 square feet with room for expansion on them. We really like the ones that run about 30 or 40,000 square feet, but they're harder to come by. A lot of mom and pops retiring out of the self-storage business. Records aren't the best in the world. They've run them for 30 years. This one in Mississippi happens to be along the coast. It's been standing for 30 years. It's withstood some wind and all that. So just an older couple, 70 years old, ready to retire, and they're out. Yeah. Other questions? Yep.
Back on the one, like, do you find that banks are willing to work with that when you have a mom and pop facility that hasn't had the best records? Like, and I'm sure a lot of it's relationship with the bank, but are you able to make
You
those
said it.
still go through?
Yeah. It's like real estate. It's almost like the Burr method. I know most of you are familiar with the Burr method. You buy these facilities. That's where I take money lenders. I'd rather buy it for, in this case, $550,000. I don't want to borrow that from the bank. Yeah, I'd rather pay somebody, maximize the value, and then if we're going to refinance it, then go to the bank and say, hey, it's worth $900,000. Will you loan us 70% of that?
You have all your.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all automated and it's all taken care of online. Yep. Yep. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead. No, I see a lot of it. What's that? All over in the cities and all that. I mean, there's a big one right by 390, right by the airport. That was a ground up development. I don't know if you know the area. It is. It's time consuming, but when they build them, they're usually worth twice what they have put into them. There are developers, I'm not going to name names, but there are developers that are just developing self-storage facilities to sell them. They're putting them up for $500,000 and they're selling them for $1 million because there's REITs out there that will buy them. So I see a lot of that. Jeremy, you see that in the areas you're operating in? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They now look at self-storage as a pandemic.
Mm.
They look at it as a very safe business to invest in, and they're really big fans of it. Having some behind you, like Scott will share with other people, it takes, you buy it with other money, and then you take 12 months to get it up, get it out of the books, all that, and then you go to the bank. A lot of the time. But C&D is very, very like, a lot of self-storage now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fill the unit up with tenants, and then you have to double the value.
It depends. I mean, sometimes you buy it and it's 70%. The market value's low. And it's no different than the Burr method, like Scott, but you buy a property for X, empty, make it look better, and then it's worth 200 times what it's worth.
Yep. Any other questions? Yeah. I'm looking at one right now in North Carolina. The occupancy is 0, and there's trees in the middle of the road where the storage facility is. That's because it was just left for dead for about 10 years. We like the occupancy to run about 90%. People are like, why don't you want 100%? Well, if I have 100% occupancy, that means my rents are too low. You keep pushing rents up. And once you get about that 90%, you still try to push rents a little bit, but you want to keep it there. The good thing about being 90% occupied is you're kind of maximize the value. You don't have near as many customers. So we like to run them. I like to run them right about 90% full. Yep.
Difference between climate control and non-climate control as far as numbers.
Whew. Jeremy, you have an answer for that one? I don't either. I don't have any that are climate controlled. But
No.
I'm gonna say to build climate control is probably about twice the cost. In certain markets, you can get twice the rents, but in some markets you can't. So to me, it's that ROI thing. Do I build climate controlled or just regular self-storage? There are companies out there that do feasibility studies, which are well worth it. What they do is they will totally explore a market and say, this is what the demand is for climate controlled, and this is what the rents are. This is what the demand is for non-climate controlled, and this is what the rents are. It's well worth it to pay for that. So, yeah. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but okay. All right. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah.
Guys been in there tonight, quite a few lots, got a couple four-wheelers, got some miscellaneous stuff. Or, we're not looking for it. I feel terrible. They didn't buy insurance. Nothing we can do about it. A bunch of good cameras and lights and everything, but it's really hard to get.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I would, I think we're gonna need to find the almost force it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think moving forward, we should pay the group.
That was our biggest when we went to Las Vegas this past spring, the storage convention, which I would encourage all of you to go. I didn't even want to be there and I had a good time being on it.
Because I was there. Come on now.
Well,
Be real. Yeah.
But, yeah, and so, but the biggest thing we learned there is the ESS, which is the system we use as well. It's like $3 to pay that a month per unit.
Yep.
It's only $7 more for our tenants to get insurance, and we get a kickback.
Yep.
And ESS gets a kickback. And up until April, that was not something we were doing. And so our biggest takeaway to maximize our units and maximize our potential value is if we were to force all of our storage customers to pay $9.99 a month, which they probably are spending more on a lunch
Yeah.
or a couple coffees, not only do we then make $4 additional, ESS makes a few bucks, and it covers a lot more than that, like the ATVs that we referenced earlier. So,
Yeah.
there's no risk without working on this.
That's another nice little value add thing to these self-storage facilities. Not only are you get the monthly rent, but ESS sells the insurance and they take care of all of it. And you get a little kickback from that. So, it might be $3 a month, but $3 a month times 100 units, that's $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year to 10 cap. That's $36,000 of value you just added to your facility like that. I see the time. Okay, I'm done answering questions, except for Tony. Yeah, you drove 2.5 hours here. You can ask any question you want. He's like, I want my money. I'm out of here. Come on now. Tony, you have a question? Nope. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Average default time in months and the cost of getting your space back if someone does default.
Depends on state. It's state by state. The laws are different. What the question was if somebody doesn't pay you, how long before you can take their unit over, auction everything off, and get the unit back producing income? It varies state by state. Every state has different rules. Make sure you're following your state's rules, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Yep. You can leave it if you want.
No, just your thoughts on the value of the hybrid
Mm-hmm.
with the existing facility and the land. Is there been a trend to go to like a mini RV park or RV experience with the storage? Being an RV guy yourself, are you seeing like any of those kind of hybrid models?
There are people that do that. So you mean like people staying in their RV and stuff like that, right? Or storing their RV there? There's two different parts of that. So you mean by living there, living in the RV? Yeah. There's a trend to do that. What we're starting to see, I won't do it because it's very time intensive. It's like going to a mobile home park or an RV park. I just don't want to do that. But RV storage, here's some value adds when you do RV storage. You don't have to put up a building. You can put up covered storage. And there are people that pay like $400 to $500 a month to store their RV inside. Now, my RV is not worth this, but don't get me wrong. Some RVs are worth $1 million. These people have money. They'll pay $400 to $500. In Phoenix, Arizona, they charge $800 a month to store indoor an RV.
We have customers that only got into our covered storage.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I don't have disposable income even though I drive an RV. Okay. But yeah, RV, outdoor RV, boat and RV storage is huge, especially now. A lot of people, because diesel prices are $5, $6 a gallon, that hurts. Trust me. But a lot of people are like, I'm just going to park my RV for a while. And when people move into these self-storage facilities, man, they don't move out. Like 10 years later, they're still in there. I've had people come to me and say, I'm storing $500 worth of stuff. I've paid you about $8,000 in storage fees. I'm like, thank you. What do you want me to say? You know, it's kind of, I'm sorry, but yeah. So that's it. Everything's automated too. We either do ACH or credit card. Okay. A lot of people, I was gonna say kids nowadays, but I can't say that. But a lot of people, when it hits their credit card, they don't even think about it. And that's what you want. When they write you a check or they're giving you cash every month, they think about it. When they're just hitting their card every month, they don't even think about it. The storage still is there. They see it on their bill. They're just like, okay. So that's another reason we automate. It makes it easier for us.
All right. If there's no other questions, we're going to call it. Thank you to everybody on Zoom. We're going to shut this down. The recording will be live in about a week.